ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Impact Review January 17th. As you can see from the title, this was based around only one thing. Really was the most shocking thing out of the entire Impact. Now, I'm going to get rid of everything first before I get to the main event. Now, how should I start this? Okay, the Groom's backstages with his buddies, which would be Spike, who I was very happy to see. Tommy Dreamer, that I really don't care that much about. He's not a bad guy, but the thing is that we've seen a lot of him, but we don't usually see that much of Spike. So Spike, seeing him was actually a very nice thing. TAZZ, who we always see, but not that much because he's doing mainly commentary and gut check. And then the first one of the night, which was for the Groom, that was with Bully Ray, with his boys, except for TAZZ, and Joseph Park. Now, I can say that Joseph Park wasn't too bad when it came to the cigars. I think it was a little bit much talking about, oh, they're illegal, don't really say anything. But you know what? It wasn't a bad segment. These weren't bad segments, those two. For the simple fact is this: you need to vary your product. And that's what TNA has done. There's going to be some people, guys and girls, surprising, that's going to enjoy the tender moments of seeing the groom get ready before the marriage. Of course, this is no different than any of the other emptying time marriages in a promotion. TNA, WWE, look at Eric Young. Look at ODB. Look at what happened with the Rated R Superstar and Lita. Rated R Superstar with Vicky. Rated R Superstar with himself. Look, there's always been something that goes in a marriage. I can at least say that this felt a little bit organic. And I felt this throughout the night. For the simple fact is this: these are two people you don't see this type of thing happening to, which is Brooke Hogan, who's new on the scene, and Bully Ray, who doesn't normally do something like this. Look, when Bully Ray 2 years ago was being pushed as a heel, who cared about him? Nobody. He was, in a sense, an old ECW guy who's now broken away from his partner that no one really thought would get very far as a heel, because who wants to see him? And by the middle of 2012, he was so over as a heel, so evil as a heel, we loved it. And then when he started transitioning over to a betweener, which I saw him as, was good. Now he's become a face, he's well over. So he has that type of versatility. No matter if you think he's too old to do it or you just don't like him because he's ECW, which will make no sense, he's earned his cred as a good tag team specialist. He's been on his own a couple of times, but never been pushed like this. So this was a little organic. It felt a bit real. Doesn't mean it was totally real. Of course, it's a work. But still, it felt a lot more real than we've been getting in WWE. Really. And the Eric Young and ODB thing, and I love ODB and those yam bags. She is this big, man. She's so big, it would take you a week to get through even a corner of her boob. One boob. A corner on the side. You would be pleased with it. But you know what? I was bored when it came to the marriage. It was a little funny seeing Eric Young stripped butt naked, almost. But it wasn't really that much there. This wasn't that bad. And I'll explain it later in the night. Now I'm just going to get this also over with. The Sting segment between Hogan and Bully Ray really didn't feel right. How can I explain this? The Bully Ray and Sting, the first one when Sting was asked to talk to Hogan, was not bad. You got a segment again with Bully Ray trying to put over this storyline, saying, I need your help to try and bring Hogan in because I want Brooke to be happy. Now, as we already know, just like I said, you wouldn't expect this from Bully Ray. He's not into that type of thing in his normal character. So it was a little different. Yeah, it can get old very quickly eventually if this keeps up too long and they make it too cheesy. But at this moment, it's still just at the point where it's not nasty. It's not like It's too damn cheesy. I'm sick of him. Let him go back to being a heel. He hasn't reached that point yet. So it's okay. But the thing that got me with the segment when it came to Hulk Hogan in the ring with Sting is that the problem with Sting, at least, and I tried doing this video more than a few times, especially when my batteries died. My batteries died. This is the third time, ladies and gentlemen, I tried this, and my batteries died on the second one. The first one didn't feel right. I just was missing something when it came to this. And now I understand what it is. Sting was not fully involved in the wedding. Sting is supposed to be Bully Ray's boy. Bully Ray's supposed to be Sting's boy. Why wasn't he dressed up for the wedding? That, I think, was the thing that got me the most. I don't remember if Sting was there at the ceremony. Please leave a comment below. I'll tell you how I felt and what I saw there. But leave me a comment below what you saw and how you felt about the segments with Sting and Hogan. The in-ring between each other was not bad, but just something felt wrong. And now I realized that Sting wasn't going to be involved in the wedding. Now, when it came to Sting and Hogan in the office, that's when it felt more organic. Now, I'm sure many people are going to say, why do you keep saying organic? It felt more real. It wasn't like super real, like it was an actual life thing. Of course not. But it felt more real than what we get, like I said earlier, with WWE. If you didn't get what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying. It felt like when Hogan was talking, it really was honest. This actually had a small piece of truth. Look, we all know how Hulk Hogan went through back in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. He didn't have a good life, especially with his wonderful wife that went off with a kid who was his son's friend. And his wife was driving him crazy, where he was almost to the point of blowing his head out. And if it wasn't for Muhammad Ali's daughter for basically saving his life, he would not be here. Because basically Muhammad Ali's daughter saved his ass. And I'm sure he thanks her for the rest of his life for not letting him die. And she's actually one hell of a beautiful woman. But I'm telling you this. That segment felt more organic for the simple fact that when he said, you know how this business has been, I tried to protect my daughter. And he did. He did what he could to try and make sure she had a good life, had money, tried to keep a stable family, but it wasn't able to happen in real life. But he did what he could to keep her isolated. He let her go off and do her music career, music career, and tried to have a normal life. Not really getting into the wrestling business, but eventually she does in real life. He was honest about that. And what Sting said also was a little bit of honesty. You've done your best to keep her safe. So now it's a possibility that you don't see that she may see something you don't have because you're jaded because of the business. And honestly, that does happen in the wrestling business. A lot of people are former wrestlers who have kids who go into the business. And some of them do act a little jaded because, counting what promotion you go to, you get screwed. You do. You get fucked over. So in this respect, it felt very honest. And that's what made it more organic, more real. And I was not upset with that. It felt very good. I wasn't like crying my eyes out like if it was a drama or a soap opera. And I hate soap operas. Guiding Light, General Hospital, and all that crap destroyed the wrestling business. And if no one understands that, look at WWE and what Stephanie McMahon, Miss Yambag herself, went and did, along with Vincent Kennedy McMahon hiring a whole bunch of writers from this. I hate you guys. I don't hate you personally, but I hate you for destroying the business. At least part of it. Anyway, now we're done with that. Let's get to what happened during the night. The tag team event, and I'm talking about in the beginning of the show with you having Hardy and Storm versus who I'm calling now the heels of Heat, Kaz and Daniels. They're good heels. And Kaz is obviously not the major member of that group who is the best heel. There are 3 major heels in TNA that I see. Anyone else, leave a comment who you believe is the best heels right now. Austin Aries, Robert Roode, not in that order. They can interchange because they're both very great heels. But third in line, by my humble perspective, is going to be Christopher Daniels. TAZZ is more of a distant fourth. He's a good heel, but he's not near as good and as over as Christopher Daniels. Christopher is simply the third best heel in the company. That is why they're putting him up against Hardy. The match itself was only meant to get Christopher over. Yes, TAZZ had the job. He did. There's no problem with that though, because Christopher Daniels lays out Hardy at the end of the match. He did. And I wish to say again, and I'm going to say something about this at the end of this review about the belts. Because I'm wondering why the hell Hardy keeps carrying both belts. Because only one belt was presented at Genesis as the one that is going to be contested. And that was the old original belt. It wasn't the Creature's belt, as I'm calling it. Wasn't. There's been no reason to care about that belt because it hasn't been presented. When, I believe it was Brian Hefner, who was the one who was supposed to take care of that match. He was supposed to hold up both belts like this. He can't hold up 60 pounds worth of weight for about 10 seconds. Is he that weak? I know I'm physically messed up because of my hip. I can't exercise properly carrying 5 to 10 pound weights because I can't balance myself because of my hip. I'm not in very good shape, ladies and gentlemen, because of my imbalance of my left hip. I'm off balance. I walk with a cane. I can't do nothing about that right now until the hip can be corrected by surgery. But Brian Hefner, who is in good shape, can't hold up 2 belts for 10 seconds. 10 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. That Creature's belt or the Jeff Hardy belt is meaningless. I want to see them unify the titles, but there might be a way that could happen, and I'm, like I said, saying this at the end of this review. But like I said, the match itself was only meant to put Christopher over. I'm not complaining about it. It was alright. Now, when it comes to when it comes to the Knockouts division, seeing what is her name? Terrace Terrell. Oh, I'm pronouncing her name. I'm sorry, I'm botching her name. I really hadn't thought about her name. The ref for the Knockouts, what is it? Taryn Terrell. I believe that's her name. Taryn Terrell. Very good looking woman. I finally got a really good chance to see her up close when she had to deal with Gail Kim. Gail Kim, I've seen her. She's not ugly. Fine. But seeing that woman up close, finally, really seeing her up close, she's a damn good looking woman. Nice curves. Nice voice. But really, there's nothing there because they don't have nothing to do. But the segment was necessary, for which I still don't understand why it was even necessary. Doing the instant replay to give her the second chance at the title. And I said before, when it came to Brooke Hogan being the president of Aces and Eight, which I'm wrong about. I am wrong. Looks like it. I said that she still was the VP of the Knockouts, which she still is. Made sense there because since she's busy at the night, she still set up the match. And when it came to the match, it was empty. I would have liked this match to be dragged. Look, right now TNA has a 4 pay-per-view year schedule. They could have stretched this out. Let Gail Kim attack Velvet Sky. Let Velvet Sky attack Gail Kim. What I would have liked to see is a segment with the Knockouts champion with the #1 contender. Let Velvet have a conflict issue with... Look, having this done so quickly was wrong. I would like them to drag it out for a couple of weeks or a month. You got time. You got 4 months, TNA. You could have dragged this out to lockdown, but they didn't do it. I have a feeling they're going to have this Knockouts title within the next couple of weeks, and there's no build. So that's the reason why I did it, because it was boring. That's the reason why I even said this, because it was boring. We know Velvet won. There was nothing there. No matter how nice her boobs are, Velvet Sky, how they bounced to the ring and how much cleavage she showed, it didn't change nothing. I was bored. Now also, I wish to say the backstage with Austin Aries and with the It Factor. I gotta say this like Dusty Rhodes. The It Factor. The great man. The longest reigning champion in TNA history. Robert Roode. Bobby. Has been highly entertaining. You cannot be bored having Austin Aries and Bobby Roode together. Bobby Roode and Austin Aries is just gold. I am not bored with their attitude. They are a great comedic heel team. They are. And now seeing that Hernandez and seeing that Chavo are going to face them makes perfect sense. I was not happy seeing that Morgan and the Organ did not win, because the way they were structuring it looks like they were going to do it. They were going to tease it. Then they dropped it because they realized, probably in mid-stride of Genesis, that Robert Roode and Austin Aries is such a good comedic team. They cannot give those titles to those two. So they dropped them and are now giving Austin Aries and Robert Roode the titles. But this is the thing. If they do not get the titles by Lockdown or before, there was no point in even doing this, because they could have given that title run to Morgan and Ryan. I would have liked to see them have it and see what could have been done for Matt Morgan. I would like to see it. The only chance he has now is going after the TNA World title, or they're going to make him do the television title. Is he going to go to Aces and Eights? I hope they do something with him, because I don't see nothing there. But still, you saw a good segment talking about, so why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be taking care of the wedding as the help? A little bit of racist heat. It happens. But it still accomplished what it needed to do, and I'm not too upset about it. Now, Christian York and Kenny King. Long live the King, baby. I don't understand. If Kenny King was hurt, okay. If he was injured, and that's the reason why he couldn't do the RVD match, okay. If he wasn't injured, why? Why? Just to see that Christian York could do alright on a pay-per-view? We already know he can do alright when he's on television. People like Christian York. You didn't need to have a proof of concept of him doing it on pay-per-view and still jobbing. He didn't need it. He could have easily already gotten over with the crowd, and you could have done something more with him. But if Kenny King is injured, or if they just wanted to save him because he had something to do, alright, fine. You can leave it at that. But really, I felt that probably Kenny King was fine, and they just was stupid enough to try and do something they didn't need to do with Christian York. Christian York jobs, which he shouldn't need to job. They should have just let him lose at Genesis. I would have liked to see that. Anyway, next. Gut check. Cage and Bryan. Ron Cage, I believe I'm pronouncing his first name right. No. Brian Cage, I don't know so why I said Ron, I'm sorry. Brian Cage and Ron Bryant. This was a little disappointing. Like I said in my last Impact, I wanted to see some conflict. It would have been better for them to have some type of conflict at Gut Check. It would have been better to see Cage have a conflict with Bryan. And then, even though Bryan would win, Cage could have some type of feud with him. Who says you can't produce a feud starting at TNA, cultivating it in OVW, and then bring it to a pay-per-view, which could have been a Destination X or X Division type of pay-per-view. The TNA is doing supplemental pay-per-views in between the months, I believe. So maybe once a month or every other month, they're going to be doing, a pay-per-view on a Friday after the Impact, which is easy. You could have done that. It wasn't a bad segment, seeing that Bryan won the contract, but I wanted more, and it just felt empty. It did for me, but it wasn't bad, and it's good to see they tried to do something new with Gut Check, and I'm glad about it. Let's just hope Bryan will be done well, and we know that Cage is going down to OVW along with Bryan. They're going to still be around. Let's just hope something happens instead of just staying off of TV for a year. Now, let's see. I think I said something about, okay, Brooke and Dixie Carter, no different than before. It felt a little organic, but Dixie is not a good actress, and it didn't feel really that great. But it still did what it needed to do in going into the wedding. And I'm doing the wedding now. I'm getting this sucker over with because I want to get to the main event and to the title. The Tasmanian Devil returns. That's what I called it. Now, like I said, if anyone noticed that Sting was out there with them, please tell me, because I didn't see Sting. If I missed him, I'm sorry. I have been sick. I got the flu. This sucks, but everyone's catching it. I've been having it on and off, signs of it. So I didn't see Sting, which really iterated how I felt there was something missing, because Sting didn't feel like he was fully a part of the wedding. He did. So, one, seeing Miss Tessmacher walk down with a spike was nice. Miss Tessmacher looked nice. I'm going to start talking a little southern here. Kind of like the Hosh twins. If no one doesn't know who the Hosh twins look like, look them up. Those boys are southern. Now, I do have southern blood in me. It's in my blood. No matter how much I look Spanish, as I said before, I got 4 backgrounds in me. And if you want to know what they are, my mother was black, Cherokee, and Chinese. My biological father, which he doesn't deserve the title as father, was Puerto Rican. I was raised by my mama. So most of my family is somewhat southern. My aunt was from Louisiana. So I can tell you, may not have grown up there, but I got the genes. And a lot of times I acted. And I can tell you this is how the Southerners do. And the Hosh twins have it right. So Miss Tessmacher walking down with Spike, pretty little thing, and just looked good. She looked beautiful. Mickie Jane. I've said that I love Mickie Jane. And I just love that nice round booty. You don't have to have big titties to be beautiful. That Powhatan Indian woman, and she's a Powhatan Indian, looks so damn good. And in the words of a very dirty Southerners, those sugar walls must taste good when you go balls deep. Truly balls deep. In other words, if no one doesn't understand what the hell that means, pretty much Miss Tessmacher looked damn beautiful. Mickie Jane looked beyond hot. But the last person who walked down with TAZZ, Miss Chrissy Hemme. Oh, you just want to go, as they say, deep inside. In other words, she looked beyond hot with that red hair. That damn red-headed woman looked so damn beautiful. It was like low, high, and smoldering when it came to it. And Miss Mickie Jane was not much off Miss Chrissy Hemme. Christy Hemme and Mickie James were almost there, but if she had had red hair, that wouldn't have turned my crank as much as Christy Hemme did. And believe me, her butt, and I'm talking about Miss Mickie James, looks so damn good in that dress. She looks so damn hot. But Miss Christy Hemme with that hair and that nice curve just turned my crank. So let's get back to the business. When Brooke Hogan came out, we didn't expect, well, at least I didn't expect to see Hulk Hogan come out immediately. And I was right. Hulk Hogan did eventually come out, stand by her, seemed a bit upset, particularly when it came to the vows and do you take this man and this woman. It was understandable. At one point, I almost thought he was actually going to talk, but he kept his mouth shut, which was quite interesting. And the nuptials were not bad. I know if someone doesn't really like that kind of stuff, it's understandable. Who wants to watch a drama like that always go out? It's not much different than what you've seen in other promotions or in the past. But like I said before, this is Bully Ray, who doesn't normally do something like this. He's been known for over 20 years as a no-nonsense, straightforward badass that doesn't do that type of character development. He doesn't. So it felt a little fresh. And Brooke Hogan, who's only been around for like a year and a half, and we've never really seen her do anything until the last 4 to 5 months. So actually, it's been quite refreshing. It is organic in a sense because it's two new people we've never seen before. Now, if we see this more than a few times, then we'll get tired of it, but now it isn't. When I saw Taz, Mr. Tasmania, actually step up and say, "Are you sure you're going to be doing this?" I thought, what the hell is he doing? What the hell is this? Is he going to be doing some type of swerve? And then when he said, "It's getting hot in here," I thought, what the hell is this? And when he showed the aces and eights to the crowd, his jacket, which said aces and eights, nomads, not aces and eight, nomads, aces and eights, I'm going, oh shit, they did not. They involved Taz. Now, I'm sure more than people were going to say, who cares about Taz? He's a nobody. He doesn't do anything anymore except commentary. For most people, you could say that's true. But Taz has not done anything major in any storyline since maybe 2004, 2005. He can't wrestle anymore for the simple fact because of his broken neck. He never got a fusion or any, as far as I understand, any type of surgery to actually refuse his neck together. It's still broken. He just rehabbed his neck. So really, at a certain time, he just couldn't wrestle anymore. He can never wrestle again. And when you saw the aces and eights come in, Taz had to leave the ring. He cannot get involved in that kind of stuff physically anymore because he can't do it. Physically, he's too badly injured. So if Taz is involved in this, this is going to be where we're going to see Taz in a character we have not seen in maybe since ECW days. You could say WWF, but really, ECW is when you saw real major character development for Taz. WWF didn't really do a lot with Taz. Unless they try to involve ECW, which they did when Taz won the belt. And he carried the belt on WWF. So pretty much, this is the first time in maybe 10 or 15 years that we'll actually see something different from Taz than just commentary. Of course, he did help Samoa Joe, and he was involved with Samoa Joe for a while. But this is not about trying to get Samoa Joe over and trying to establish Taz being in TNA. This is about Taz being part of a major storyline, which sucks right now, to revitalize it. This is what I said. You need to revitalize Aces and Eights. And I said you have to make sure Aces and Eights do not lose anymore. And you need to do something next to that. So this is the catalyst for it, hopefully to revitalize it. I was shocked as hell to see Taz. It's intriguing to see what he's going to do next week. I was blown away by it. Maybe it's because I'm new to doing these videos. Maybe it's because I'm a total novice and I'm not too much higher than a casual fan. I'm not going to lie about it. I'm still learning how to be able to understand the ins and outs of wrestling. I'm not even close to understanding it yet. So maybe it's that. That's the reason why I'm really seeing this with a lot of enthusiasm, where maybe a more better experienced Mark would say, dude, don't see it that way. This might still fall on the face. And I agree. But I'm trying to be enthusiastic. I want to see this damn thing work. I want to see what the fuck they're going to do with TAZZ. Of course he can't run in the ring, but TAZZ is not a bad talker. I want to see if he could talk for Aces and Eights. Maybe he can make storylines work for Aces and Eights by just talking. We need this. We need this change in TNA. I almost said WWE. They need that too. But I want to see this happen. So I'm hoping this is going to come down like this. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Subscribe and comment to my channel. I'm sorry I didn't get this out earlier. I'm sick. I got the flu. And the last thing I did was Kofi Kingston, which was on Friday. If you want to see what's going on with Kofi Kingston, I'm going to connect this and see if you're going to like it. I'm hoping you do, because it's interesting to see what he's going to be doing. So even though this is a TNA review, I'm connecting Kofi to give you a chance to think about the debate of the week. So this is long. Sorry, and have a good night. I will get to SmackDown as soon as I can.